I didn't plan to cheat. I didn't plan to cheat on my wife. I planned to stay late at work. That's how it started, with overtime, coffee, and a woman who wasn't supposed to matter. I used to believe my marriage was solid in the most boring way possible. Not passionate, not broken, just steady. My wife and I had been together long enough that silence didn't feel awkward anymore. We woke up at the same time, complained about work, ate dinner on the couch, and went to bed without really talking about anything important. Back then, I told myself, that was what real love looked like. Quiet, predictable, safe. I never thought of myself as the kind of man who would cheat. I showed up. I paid bills. I didn't flirt. I didn't cross lines. At least, that's who I thought I was. Looking back, the distance between my wife and me didn't appear overnight. It crept in quietly. We stopped asking follow-up questions, stopped sharing small details, stopped noticing when the other person was tired. I told myself we were just busy, that this was adulthood, that this was normal. But the truth was simpler. I had stopped trying. And when someone else started paying attention, I noticed immediately. Work was the only place where I still felt sharp. At home, everything felt decided. At work, I could still earn approval, deadlines, pressure, recognition. So when management asked who could stay late for a new project, I volunteered without hesitation. I told my wife it was temporary. I told myself it mattered. That's when she entered my life. She joined our department on a Monday. New badge, new notebook, nervous smile. She sat 2 desks away from me, close enough that I could hear her sigh when emails piled up, close enough that our eyes met more often than necessary. At first, she was just another coworker, another Slack message, another voice in meetings. But she laughed at my dry jokes, and when I explained things, she really listened. That felt good. Too good. We started talking during breaks, about work, about stress, about how exhausting everything felt. She told me she felt like she had to prove herself constantly. I told her I felt stuck, like my life had already peaked. We never said anything inappropriate. That's how we justified it. But something shifted anyway. We started texting after work. At first, it was harmless. Did you finish that report? Tomorrow's meeting is going to be rough. Then it became personal. She told me she felt lonely sometimes. I told her my marriage felt quiet. I never mentioned my wife by name, not because I was hiding her, but because saying her name felt like putting up a wall. One night, everyone left early. The office was quiet. Lights dimmed. City glowing through the windows. She asked if I wanted coffee. I said yes. Our shoulders brushed when she handed me the cup. Neither of us moved away. That moment lasted maybe 2 seconds. It stayed with me for days. I went home that night and kissed my wife like everything was normal. She asked how work was. I said, busy. I lay awake next to her, staring at the ceiling, replaying that moment in my head. That's when I realized something had already gone wrong. Not later. Not eventually. Already. I told myself it wasn't cheating. There was no hotel room, no sex, just conversations. I told myself I deserved to feel seen, to feel wanted. I didn't realize I was building excuses instead of boundaries. Soon, there were 2 versions of me. At home, reliable, quiet, present. At work, alert, energized, alive. I deleted messages, muted notifications, invented meetings. My wife trusted me. That trust felt heavier than guilt. It happened on another late night. Too quiet, too familiar, too close. She kissed me first. I didn't stop her. I remember thinking, this is the moment everything changes. And then I let it. The sex wasn't the most dangerous part. It was what came after. The way I checked my phone constantly. The way her mood controlled mine. The way silence from her made me anxious. I wasn't just cheating. I was attached, Lying became routine. I lied about where I was. I lied about who I was texting. I lied with my tone, my timing, my body language. The scary part wasn't how often I lied. It was how natural it felt. At home, I became distant. I answered questions too quickly, got irritated over nothing. My wife noticed. She asked if I was okay. I said I was just tired. She asked if something was wrong. I said work was stressful. None of that was a lie. It just wasn't the truth. At work, people started noticing. Lingering looks, inside jokes, too much familiarity. Someone made a comment during a meeting. We laughed it off. But the tension was visible now. We promised to be more careful. We weren't. One night, my phone buzzed on the table. My wife picked it up before I could stop her. I watched her face change, just slightly. She handed the phone back without a word. That silence lasted days. When she finally asked, her voice was calm. "Is there someone else?" I hesitated. That pause said everything. She didn't scream. She didn't cry loudly. She sat on the edge of the bed and covered her face with her hands. She asked one question. Was it worth it? I couldn't answer. A week later, HR called me in. Someone had reported us. Rumors had reached the wrong ears. Projects reassigned. Warnings issued. Departments separated. The affair ended not with passion, but with paperwork. At home, nothing was the same. Trust didn't shatter loudly. It eroded quietly. Conversations became careful. Silence became heavy. My wife stopped asking questions. That scared me more than anger ever could. She and I stopped talking. No dramatic goodbye. No closure. Just distance. She became a memory attached to regret. There was no one left to blame. Not stress. Not work. Not her. Just my choices. I wanted excitement without consequences. Connection without responsibility. I thought the worst part would be losing my wife. I was wrong. The worst part was realizing she stayed. But something inside her didn't. She stopped asking where I was going, stopped checking my phone, stopped needing reassurance. Months later, she told me she wasn't angry anymore. "I just don't feel safe with you," she said. That sentence hit harder than any accusation, because safety isn't something you apologize back into existence. I didn't lose my marriage in a dramatic explosion. I lost it in silence, in distance, in the way she stopped reaching for my hand in public. The affair ended long ago. The consequences didn't. And now I understand something too late. I didn't just betray my wife. I taught her how to live without trusting me. That's the part I'll carry forever.